All right, welcome to another episode of The Block. This is DeVon Wilson. I'm here with my man, Darnell Kirkland Jr. How you doing, Darnell?
Man, I'm good as always, but I just gotta throw it out there,
Okay.
man. I saw this thing on Twitter. It was a video of Eric Dampier's son, right?
Mm,
Eric Dampier's son. He's in sixth grade. He's 6'5", and they said he had like 23 points and 21 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks in the first half. And they showed a video of him taking it coast to coast and dunking it. And they said the number one sixth grader in the country, Eric Dampier. And I was saying, I just said to myself, what have we come to that we are now ranking the top sixth graders in the country? How do we even know who's the best sixth grader in the country? And this is the thing when we talk about bust. Like this is the thing. Like in today's era, this is today's era. We live in the internet age, right? This is the
mm,
age of social media. So a lot of these guys, some of these guys are just going to be more physically advanced than than their counterparts early on like this. And what happens when the competition starts to catch up? He stops growing, everybody else starts growing. You know what I'm saying? Now everybody's the same size, and now everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, remember him? Oh, he's a bust. He's a failure." And I'm like, "No, this is just the natural process of things." But now, since everything is so public, everything is trying to be first. Everybody trying to be first on stuff. It can possibly hurt some kids down the line. But yeah, that was something interesting to see. Like it was like, oh, okay, Eric Grant Pearson, he's sick. He's in sixth grade. He's 6'5", but they got him playing point guard. Like he dribbling the ball up the court and stuff. And I was like, man, I wonder how this kid's gonna develop. Like if he's 6'10", 6'11", like his daddy, and now he can still dribble the ball, handle the rock, and pass the ball too. Like you possibly got something. You know what I'm saying? And it's something to look at.
yeah, it's interesting because we've been going back and forth about Imani Bates. I mean, you had a chance to watch him up close and personal
Yeah.
in high school. You know, he went to your high school for a little before launching their own school that he had in Ypsilanti after prior to heading off to college to Memphis, and he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and now there's he's reports he's going back getting his back checked out, but just not having the success. He was coming off the bench, and it's not like he a finished product, but all of that stuff, when you have all that hype so early, as people are starting to develop and all the expectation starting in sixth grade, right? Think about that run. This is why I think what LeBron has done is so amazing because LeBron was under the microscope from the beginning. I mean, they were televising. He was one of them early folks where they're televising his games on ESPN. I remember him playing against Strawberry Sun and Poly Pavilion out in L.A. And they were he didn't have a huge performance, but they won. And I remember him saying in an interview that really just talking about the importance of winning. That his teammates were able to contribute. And at that point, I was like, oh, this kid got it. But just understanding how much he's been able to handle being under that kind of spotlight when people call you the chosen one. Like this is now we're talking about sixth grade, right? And we're ranking people, right?
Yeah,
So
sixth grade is a whole different story than high school.
yeah,
Like a lot of these kids ain't even hit puberty yet. I mean,
yeah.
come on. Like, yeah,
But they all these kids are playing AAU at an earlier age. People are able to see and spend time on these courts. Like you said, the use of social media as insight, and so you follow these sites who are at all these events and highlighting kids who are spotlighting and following them. It's so more about people earlier. I mean, it used to the fun thing about growing up when I grew up, it was the legend of it. I remember when Antoine Jobert was the guy coming out of Detroit Southwestern. It was like unless you had a chance, all you heard was what was happening in the barbershop in the streets. You never got a chance. I didn't get a chance to even see him play until they played against was it Flint? I think it might have been Flint Northwestern or Flint Central in the championships. We snuck out of out of class because they were holding championships over at Chrysler Arena. Went to school across the street at Pioneer. Snuck over and got a chance my first time, and I watched him hit 50. And Didn't play any defense, but he hit 50. But that was the first time I had a chance to hear it. But all I heard up until that point was what was in the barbershop or in the playground or people who had a chance to see it. Everybody thought they was at the, they had been at the game. And so it was that kind of, that's the way the legend traveled, right? And now it's like you turn on your phone on YouTube, you seeing the next little kid, at, in sixth grade or whatever, that you can follow. So it's such a different time that people are growing up with all these different expectations, but could have some of the similar results, as we were having when we were talking about Imani, who's not really a finished product, but understanding where he's at and then how he's handling his own success within this bubble, right? And so, you gotta, it tells you why LeBron was so protective of his son, Bronny, right? Not letting people talk to him early on. I mean, because he had experiences. So yeah, it's crazy that we're talking about a sixth grader and and all of that. But man, that's the world we living in, man. The world we living in. So we see your man Gaddis is on his way to Miami. Harbaugh's coming back. Gaddis is on his way to Miami. It's just like these chairs just to continue to just shift in college sports. It's like you can't even keep up with it. There's a ticker. Um, what is that going to mean for Michigan with Gaddis? I know you've been watching Gaddis. You watched Gaddis and studied him when he was in Alabama. At Michigan, you were one, talking to a lot of Michigan fans about being patient, letting him get his kind of players. Now he's going to Miami, where, they're trying to, bring back that U and having a chance to have the keys to the car in Miami, where, you got a hotbed of recruits in the background. What do you think that's going to mean for Miami football? And why do you think Gaddis made that kind of move?
I think it's good for him, but as far as why did Gaddis make the move, like I, I can't put I can't put words in his mouth, so I'm just gonna use the words that came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
So in a text to some Michigan players, Josh Gaddis said, "Unfortunately, the past few weeks has told a different story to me about the very little appreciation that I have here from administration. In life, I would never advise anyone to be where they are not wanted."
Mm,
So it's safe to say that the relationship with Michigan, University of Michigan, has been strained over the last few weeks.
mm,
I'm not gonna speculate. Well, I could speculate to see,
mm,
say like certain things might have happened.
mm,
Um, especially with Jim Harbaugh looking at other jobs and maybe the university coming up with their contingency plan. If in the
mm,
event that he left, who would be the successor? They was probably saying, they probably didn't have him in it or something like
mm,
that. I don't know, but I'll let that come out as it does.
mm,
But yeah, as far as Miami, I think it'll be kind of interesting because Mario Cristobal, he's bringing Alex Mirabel as well. So they're gonna have that strong offensive line, that strong dominant offensive line that they had at Oregon. Um, and Gaddis will be able to build a similar type of thing that he had here at Michigan. He's going to recruit, the Miami. That's you got all the speedsters right in your backyard. I mean,
yeah,
it's not going to be hard for him to recruit and bring some guys, get some guys in the building that can do the thing that you've seen here at Michigan with AJ Henning, Roman Wilson, Blake Corum, obviously, just getting all that speed and space per se. But when you mix that with that physical dominant offensive line, I think you have a recipe for success. And I think he's taking that the similar blueprint and taking it to Miami. But as far as the move, it's in and of itself, it's a lateral move, and I think it's a lateral move, and I think it, it's mostly a relationship type of issue with something
mm.
that broke down at Michigan. That's the reason why he's at Miami right now.
Yeah, and it's it's one of those things that there was probably always a little bit of tension. I felt like he was one of the few assistant coaches before Jim made this whole overhaul of the staff last year that would stand his ground, and I think he and Jim grew through that relationship. I agree with you. I think with the contingency plans, I don't know how much they were including him in those things, thinking about him, even if Jim came back, some type of promotion or recognition in ways that would appreciate the work that he brought to the table. And so, some of that stuff will come out, but it affects. It's just one more example of how these dominoes begin to fall. In this whole madness that we call college football today, with everything that's from transfer portals to what's happening with these high school athletes trying to figure out what's like this. There is so much movement happening every day. You just got to be on top of it to kind of see what's going on. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Um, as we look at what else is going on the block, we getting ready. We getting up here. We starting to enter Super Bowl week, man. And man, it's almost like it seems like the AFC and NFC championships were like 3 weeks ago. It's just like so much stuff has been happening on the sports
Yeah.
ticker. It's like I'm thinking, wow, I'm not even in my head. And we got the game coming up here. We got the Pro Bowl game this weekend, and then we got the Super Bowl next week at SoFi out there in LA. We got the Rams getting ready to go, and we got the Bengals. When you think about the keys to victory over here, as we start getting this preparation week, who, you know, what are you seeing? I'm thinking about, everybody's talking about protection. The Bengals only gave it one sack this past week in the AFC Championship. It seems like they're beginning to solidify a little bit of that offensive line, but they're going to be going up against another beast this week, and so we got to see if Burrow got another level of to go that he can go to. He's like that superhero right now. In pushing it through, and then on the other side you got the Rams. Bringing that great defense and starting to find itself together, and they got that potent offense. You got Odell Beckham Jr. finding his spot. I think what he's done since he left Cleveland says a lot about what Cleveland needs to deal with. I mean, there's a lot of storylines here. What are you going to pay attention to this week to kind of give you a signal where you think this game is going?
Well, you already said it. The battle in the trenches, like you
Yeah.
said, they only gave up one sack last week, but if you look at that first half where they fell behind big, the offensive line was a problem. I mean, they only gave up one sack, but there are a lot of plays that Burrow had to get the ball out quicker than he needed to. They were giving up some pressures as well. Um, the offensive line is still an issue, and it's a whole different animal going into it when you're playing against Aaron Donald and Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, and the crew. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different issue. But you saw in the second half of the game, they were able to maneuver around their offensive line. They threw a lot of screens in there, a lot of quick game stuff, and that's going to be key. But the matchup that I'm really looking forward to is I said it a couple weeks ago, but Jalen Ramsey and Jamar Chase. This is the matchup that I've been looking for, praying for. You know what I'm saying? No, this is pay per view right here. This is what we all are gonna pay that price of admission for. Yeah, that's probably the biggest matchup I'm looking for in this game. But I think the game's gonna be won and lost in the trenches. That's on both sides of the ball. I mean, the Bengals defensive line is very good. They're very underrated. I mean, you have DJ Reader in there, Trey Hendrickson, you got Tyler Shelvin. Um, he got him rotating in there. BJ Hill. They're good. They're a good unit, and they do a very solid job of stopping the run when they focus on it. I mean, and also on the flip side, the Rams. Cooper Cup and them, Cooper Cup and Odell, they've been playing very well of late. But the balance is key to them.
Hmm.
Like if Cincinnati can take the running game away and make it a complete, make it a they can tilt the scales instead of it being a balanced 50-50 type of run pass kind of thing. If they can make it like a 70-30 pass to run, kind of deal. I think that that favors Cincinnati. That helps Cincinnati um in this matchup, and that's something I'm looking forward to the trench battle on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I think the role of that the running game and the offensive line, defensive line battles. If they can find ways to involve these running backs in the passing game, in the running game, do an extension of the running game. Get into those second and shorts. Get into those things where you can set up those big plays. It's gonna be a chess match in a sense, and so I look forward to it. At some point, one of these quarterbacks are going to have to make plays. They're going to have to do their thing and live up to whatever the reputation is going to be in this moment. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll have a lot going on this week as they start to rev up and get into Super Bowl week and things going on there. One of the things that I've been thinking about, this also been brewing. It's kind of this weird time of year in sports. We got college basketball going on at different levels. You got the NBA going. You got Super Bowl going. You'll have the NBA All Star game coming up in a couple weeks, and so it's going to be a lot of different things happening in the world of sports, in a sense. And so, I've been trying to get my head, even though we're far off away or back. And I look up and I see Miami is in like second place in the East, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm looking at the top of this Eastern Conference. We got Chicago and Miami, and we talked about this before, man. I mean, and everybody still has Brooklyn on there, but I've been watching lately, and Brooklyn stuff has been, they lose last five or something, like six or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
7 straight games.
7 straight games. This thing is unraveling, brother. I mean, and they can right the ship, right? But this thing is unraveling, man, in ways you can see Harden's frustration. You can see he's fed up. Um, it's just so weird to see Brooklyn, see Boston not quite where they need to be. LA, I mean, Westbrook was 1 of 10. He had a couple of good games. They had a couple of good things going. I mean, basketball is just, it seems like it's turned upside down this year. But that Brooklyn thing is, it's one of those, you hate to say it, but it looks like it's that train you can see coming, right? It's like,
Yeah.
um, I don't even know. I don't even know what I want to say about it. It's just one of those train wrecks,
Well,
man. I've been
one
watching it.
one thing with the Brooklyn situation is you're starting to see how valuable Kevin Durant really is. Like
Yep.
when we look at Kevin Durant, all for the most part, we just talk about his scoring ability. That
Yeah.
he's a 7 foot guy that can shoot over anybody. He can get a shot no matter what happens. You know what I'm saying? When all else fails, Kevin Durant can get a shot. But at the end of the day, he's a very underrated rim protector. I mean,
Yep.
without him in the game, you're missing that aspect of the game. Like you have Claxton in there, but when he goes to the bench, who's protecting the rim? Nobody really.
Yep.
He's also a very good facilitator. I mean, when he catches the ball in the high post, he is not. He's not a black hole. He's a great scorer, but he's a willing passer. Like if somebody's cutting there open, he's gonna get the ball.
Hmm.
And Kevin Durant has that type of connective tissue thing to him. But when you talk about players that are that connective tissue, you're usually talking about role players. But this is a superstar that provides that as well. And you're missing him and Joe Harris, another guy that he's going to need to be there. But this is a very top heavy team, and this is one hot take. This is one hot take that I've been thinking about over the last week or so.
Mm.
But I've been thinking like the whole idea of positionless basketball to me, I think it's a myth. To be honest with you, like you have a lot. We're in an era where a lot of guys are versatile players. They can do a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, you might call positions differently than other people. You might categorize them differently. But at the end of the day, there's certain roles that have to be filled on the basketball court. Every team is going to have a player that can penetrate the paint and facilitate to others. Every team is going to have a couple guys that can space the floor, knock down the open three, and play defense on the others and play defense on the other end of the court. Every team is also going to have to have a guy that can protect the rim and rebound for them. You know what I'm saying? Every team's also going to have a bigger guy that can defend on the perimeter. So like whether or not you want to call it the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, all these roles have to be filled in some way, shape, or form. They, your rim protector might be 6'7", but it doesn't mean that it's positionless basketball because he's still filling the position.
Yeah.
And if you have a guy, if you have a team that where part of the positions aren't being filled, that team's going to struggle. Like the Lakers. The Lakers don't have enough. They don't have enough guys that can space the floor. That's obvious, right? But that's why they're struggling. You still have certain aspects, right?
Mm.
And then we can go down the line with other teams what they're missing, like Michigan. Michigan, they're missing the point guard.
Yeah.
You can say, oh yeah, positionless basketball. Yeah, we have the 6'3" guy. Yeah, but he's not a point guard, right?
Yeah.
You still need the point guard to be successful, and
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
the whole kind of thing with it. Yep.
yeah, I think you're hitting it right on the head. I mean, you and I have been talking about that when we're watching Michigan, and you can tell the difference is you got to have a point guard. You have to have somebody who is getting you into the stuff you need to get into, right?
Yep.
I don't care what level you in. You have to have someone who gets you into the stuff you need to get into and gets it to the people who need to get it when they need to get it. That could be Scottie Pippen, your point forward. That could be Isaiah. That could be Luke, whoever it might be. But you got to consistently know you got somebody can get you in the right stuff. That could be Draymond, right? It could be whatever. But if you have that person who can get you in the right stuff at the right time, that can't be distributed labor.
Mhm.
That part can't be distributed labor. You got to have somebody who, when you need to get into something to get the stuff to where it could be. And I think KD does that. Not only can he score, but he knows when to give it up and get people the ball in the right place and create that opportunity. And when you don't have that, you miss out on that. And so
Right.
you're right. There are things that you need a team to be able to deliver. And if you can figure out how that is structured, everybody is clear about how that role is being executed, then you got something. When you don't have it, it shows up, right? And so
Right.
you hit it right on the head. And I think,
So
yeah, I think we're
yep.
going too far with this position of basketball as though certain responsibilities don't necessarily need to be handled. They do. They just might be packaged differently,
Mhm.
and you have flexibility in terms of how you do it. So you can say in Denver that the Joker does a lot of that. They
Right.
run so much through, and he embodies those qualities that we used to say were in point guards. But those decisions are still being made. It's just being made by a 7-footer, right?
Exactly.
So it's you're right, and we somehow are misleading the public by just saying this is positionless basketball, as though certain roles don't get fulfilled. If you're gonna win a championship, there are 3 or 4 things you need to be able to do. It's like I always
Mhm.
say that when we talk about football. No, you're not going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But if you can't keep people honest and create ways to
Mhm.
make them respect and create, I think Rams do this really well. I think the 49ers do. If you can't create and put stress on people because you're creating this level of balance that keeps them off balance, so you can do the things you really want to do, you're not going to win. And so now how you get at doing it, you can be as creative. You can be like Shanahan with the 49ers and the way he leverages in multiple ways he does the run game, that creates opportunities for the pass game. Or you can do it like, kind of like the Rams are doing it. But those elements, those components of trying to keep you off ball and make you make decisions are there. And if you just one dimensional, you're gonna be like Kansas City going home. At some point, people gonna catch up, right? And so you gotta find ways. So it's one of those things where like there's components you gotta have. How you deliver it, you can be creative with that. But there's certain
Yeah.
things you gotta hit. And I think you're right. In basketball, I think we've kind of missed that altogether. And you can see it with the Lakers in a different way. You can see
Mhm.
it with Brooklyn in a different way, or you can see why it's working in Miami in ways, or
Right.
why it's working in Chicago in ways it's surprising you because
Mhm.
they have a clarity around it.
Yeah, and in certain ways, Brooklyn and Kansas City have some things in common. Like you look at Brooklyn sometimes, and it's almost like you have a Ferrari that's on 4 flat tires. I mean, like you can have like you have the luxury pieces, but like the engine it's not functioning properly. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's
you
right.
gotta have there's certain core values and core parts that need there's certain substance that needs to be there, and there's a lot of flash in certain areas, but there's not enough substance in others. And just like Kansas City, I did in the end of the first half, like you know you have no timeouts. Um, it's 5 seconds left. You need to have a quick shot at the end zone, or just kick the field goal right there. You can't be out in space and you can't be in that situation and come away with nothing, pretty much. And just certain things like that, they lack substance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the fundamental decisions.
Yeah, and when you start to believe you are beyond those fundamentals, you can get away with it once. It's like you put your hand on the stove, right? You can get away
Mhm.
with it once or twice, and it's like fool's gold, right? And it starts to erode, and you don't even know it. And when you think you could just have one guy play on the road because you just think you can pull that off, or when you just think that I can get it to Tyreek, and because I just believe he's gonna make it no matter what, so I'll throw it to him for 7 yards with no time. We just gonna make things happen because we just can. When you start to get away from just those like you said, those fundamental decisions, talent with fundamental decisions, you can do anything. Like if you just use your talent to amplify the fundamental stuff, now you're putting together a dynasty. But when you start to take that for granted, now you got some stuff that uh, will affect you long term. And so, I think you put it right on the head, man. And I've been trying to get my head around it. You're capturing that because you see that all the time, and people buy into it, and they buy into it away in as though they have time, right, on their
Yeah.
side. And these windows close quickly, right? It's like, everybody's like, well, Mahomes is going to be all right. He'll be back next year. Do y'all remember Dan Marino? We thought when
Mhm.
Marino went after the second year, everybody thought Marino was going to be in the
Shoot,
Super
Russell
Bowl.
Wilson.
Yeah. It's like these people creep up on you before you know it. And there's plenty of signals in the AFC. There's plenty of signals in the Eastern Conference that folks are coming, right? There's plenty, the funny thing about the Brooklyn thing is everybody. It's like you must have forgot. It's like my man one time said last night before the fight. Y'all must have forgot. It's like y'all forgot about Milwaukee. Like they just been over there lurking. They started to get healthy. They put stuff together.
Well, they yeah.
Y'all just think Giannis is gonna hand this over without a fight.
Well, Budenholzer, he comes from that Popovich tree, so
Yep.
you already know how they playing it. They know they're the champs, and they just kind of they try to make sure they get to the finish line healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They're trying to peak at the right time. They're trying to make sure they catch their stride at the right time. They don't
Yep.
burn out too early. They just try to make sure they playing just like Coach Westphal said. You got to be at your best when your best is needed, and that's what
This,
the Bucks that's what they preparing to do. I mean, when the playoffs when it's playoff time, they're gonna be there, and that's something you got to worry about. And then one another thing that I want to talk about before we get off the basketball topic, we're seeing something with John Morant. Like John Morant, he's starting to hit his own. He's starting to hit his prime right now, and you're just like, man. Like, I saw this tweet a couple days ago. It said, John Morant and Lamar Jackson have the hood on lock like AI and Vic did back in the 2000s, and it just took me back because that was my childhood. But they remind me so much of them, and John Morant reminds me so much of Allen Iverson. But just the way that the team and the city, like they all like galvanize behind him, like all like the team, they all share his energy, like when they all out there, even when he's not on the court, like the bench players, they play with the same intensity, the same energy, the same swagger that he does. So like that's going to be an interesting team to play against in the playoffs. I mean, I know they don't have a whole lot of experience, but say they do run into the Lakers in the playoffs, I mean, the Lakers, they better be prepared. They better be ready because I know one thing: Memphis, they're not gonna back down. I mean, you might beat them with experience, you might beat them with you know size, but you're not just gonna punk them and just scare them out of it. Memphis, they'll be ready.
Yeah, Ja is coming at real. I mean, I just watched this doc on KG. Anything's possible, and Ja reminds me of like a guard version of KD. He just comes with he plays hard every day, Like he forces you to come with his energy and his teammates love. And you see him.
Iverson was like that too.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
the thing about I love Iverson. I think, but the one thing I think about Ja that I think Iverson probably came to do a little bit later is the level that Ja is investing in his teammates. Not to say Iverson didn't, but the way in which you watch some of the stuff what he's doing in practice, right? The way in which he is leading in all. Now I'm not in the practice. We talking about practice. I'm not getting into all that, but the what his commitment to the process is. It feels Kobe like in a Iverson body, like it's a mix in a sense, but with a humanity that cats look. So you see him you see him in practices talking about in almost being like the coach on the floor around the rotations. Like there's an element about him. So he has that Iverson the way in which Iverson can connect with the culture, but he has this delivery that's a little bit. It feels different to me, in a way that's much more sustainable, and that doesn't isn't so full throttle that he's not conscious of the people around him. Meaning, like Iverson was going to do it hard every day, but he's going to do it his way, in a way that I think Ja is bringing people along in the journey in a little different way than I would say Iverson did, if that makes sense. In a way that he has a level of leadership, in the way he invests in his teammates that is a little different than Allen. I'm not saying it's bad or not, but I think it has that much more of that team concept with this other level athleticism and ability and connection to the streets that Iverson had. It's just something different, man. I just feel about it, and I watch him, so it's like a mix. I see him of, KG swagger, Iverson stuff with, you know, with that Kobe, whatever it might be. It's just like you ain't gonna kill me on the block, kind of. You got to kill me if you go, for me to. They have all of it, but I think there's a little different element. That's it. I appreciate both of them, so I can't say nothing. But I love that. I love Ja, man. I love his competitiveness. I love like he ain't gonna kick through the door. He ain't waiting for the invitation. I love that part about his game, man. You're right. Between those two, like they got this. I feel like we need to launch our own magazine, like so we can put them on the cover,
Mhm.
in our own way. We need to find our way and catch another run like we've done historically with this relationship to media. I think this might be time for RSG to try to capture the story. You got me hyped over here. Um, I want to hit a little bit on the as we are starting to turn the corner a little bit and get beginning to get set up for kind of this stretch run of getting back to the NFL of kind of the draft side. You had the Senior Bowl this past weekend. Um, what are some of the things you noticed in the Senior Bowl? I know you're one of
Mhm.
people. Like I like to watch summer league practices. You like to watch everything. You watch summer league practices in the NBA, and you watch it. So you were watching practice tape. You were watching all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
So when you watching the practices, like who emerged for you this past weekend as you looking at the Senior Bowl practices that people
Well,
might not know about?
Well, the first name I want to say is Travis Jones.
Mm.
Travis Jones, defensive tackle from UConn. I forgot UConn even have a football team, but I watched him, and this guy is giving folks issues. I mean, this guy is strong. He's built like a fire hydrant. I mean, this dude, good. You gonna have to double team this guy. I mean, this guy, he's giving guys problems. This guy is strong. Oh man, yeah, he's number one on my list. Perion Winfrey, another defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He has the total package. This guy is strong. He has hands. He has really good hands. I mean, he has some good pass rush moves in there, and really intrigued me because I was looking at Zion, the tackle from the guard from Boston College. I wrote it down. I did write it down. Let me see. Let me see. Zion Zion Johnson. Yeah, Zion Johnson. I was watching for him and Perion Winfrey. He jumped off the screen, man. He has like this is a guy that he's a three down interior defensive lineman. This is not a guy that you can have him out there for first and second down. You have to take him out. No, this is a guy that you can keep him out there. He can pass rush too. I mean, also Devontae Wyatt. I mean, Devontae Wyatt. Well, we already knew about him. I mean, this is a guy in that Georgia defensive line rotation. This is a guy. But one thing that popped off of me, I didn't know how athletic he was because if you the thing about watching Georgia, they're all so athletic. So you see N'Kobe Dean flash, you might see Lewis Seen flash. Jordan Davis is always there, um, and you kind of lose sight of the other guys. Like maybe if Devontae Wyatt played on a lower caliber team, he would pop more. But like watching him in this context, like he can really move. Like he's a defense tackle, but he can move. Like he really impressed me. Jermaine Johnson, the pass rusher from Florida State, he transferred from Georgia. He was another Georgia guy. He transferred to Florida State, but he impressed me with his pass rushing moves, his speed off the edge. I don't really. He's a guy that I really haven't seen a lot of him in the run game. That's something I think he can improve on. But his pass rushing skills were amazing. But on the offensive side, the guys that I liked were Stuber. Obviously, we know Stuber. Stuber played at Michigan, but Stuber, Jamari Sawyer, Ed Ingram, K. Mays, Darian Kennard, for to name others. But as far as skill position guys, um, my guy, Roger McCreary. I mean, this is the guy that I already said he's my top 5 corners. This is a baller, absolute baller at corner. He reminds me a lot of Tre'Davious White. Um, he's a guy that you certainly have to look out for. And another guy, Wolin. I think his name is Travis Wolin. Another cornerback prospect. This is another guy you got to look out for. He's long. He's long and athletic, and he really knows what to do in press coverage. So those are guys that really stood out to me. I know a lot of guys looking at Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning was solid. Like when I watched him, he was solid. But a lot of that, I think a lot of guys get hyped off the extra stuff. Like this guy, he's one of those guys that he'll start pushing you after the whistle and do all kind of rah rah stuff. But he's good. I'm not saying he's not good, but what I'm saying is that kind of stuff catches people's attention, and they'll say, "Oh, I remember him," so that's the guy. But I say he's okay. He's pretty good, but he's not the elite class. But I think if you can get him in the second round, you'll be happy with him. So those are my guys for the Senior Bowl. I know it's a lot. It's a lot of trench guys. I haven't really seen as much of the receivers and DB guys. I have to look back at it again, but yeah, I might have to come back to it. Did you what did you see?
You know me, I was running last week, and I leaned on you, so I know what I wanted to do today is just wet the whistle because we're going to try and get into this in the coming weeks. And so I was going to dig in deep. You usually point me to the right people, but last week I was, that's why we call us real sports guys. I was knee deep in other things. I was living vicariously through you. So now it's time for me to do a homework. We're going to be, looking at this stuff as we move towards the draft and have our own unique vision of it. So I was going to get in it a little bit and try to see. I was going to try to sometime and try and check out some of the videos this week. And so I'll probably have a better perspective next time we get on the air about where people were in terms of, their ability. So I haven't a chance to dig as deep as you are. This is why you are who you are, and I'm just trying to come together and try and bring it out. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is why we got one of the best in the business helping us understand this. So, but I will be digging deep and looking forward. I know you and Hampton will be arguing sometime soon on a podcast near us. But yeah, I am going to begin to look at the homework because you also got to make adjustments for the underclass players and those stuff. But I like to see what's happened with these Senior Bowls in terms of where people might go, and you get a chance to see people compete in those in those practices in ways that you don't often get the chance to see. It's almost like an independent analysis because you have these other coaches who are working them out they're outside their element. They have to adjust. And so I think those are great places to evaluate players because they don't have all their normal stuff in place, and so they just have to react to whatever. It's an even ground. Everybody's getting exposed to it for the first time, and you see how fast people pick things up, how they react, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into that. Well, our storage is going down on this episode. I can see the little light going up, so I know we're gonna have to wrap it up before they kick us off with it. I got so much video we've been taping. I got to start cleaning this stuff. I realized that we've been dropping a lot of gems here in recent weeks that have to get going. Um, Before we go from this episode, we haven't had a chance to do a boxing moment here. We just had I had a chance um, to see Keith one time Thurman fight against Mario Barrios yesterday on pay per view, and he looked good. He looked good. I think it was a good fight for him right now. I don't know where he fits in terms of being ready for that Spence and that level of it. His hand speed looked like it came together. Something that I want to talk to you about, man. This is the second fight I've seen him get hit to the body and kick him and take his mouth guard out to get breath. And I remember I watching the post fight, and Sean was like, "Get your body together." And it felt like he got his body together, but sometimes that's just like, I don't, man. I'm
That's
just trying
his
to figure.
that's his soft spot. I mean,
That's a soft spot, right?
it's happened more than 2 times. I mean,
Yes.
happened in the Collazo fight. That was the first
It,
first one that we really saw. Like, this guy's human. You know what I'm saying? And he got hit in the body, and he started running around the ring. But it's happened. It's happened before. But that's one thing. It's a scout report on Keith Thurman. Like, you hit him in the body, soften the body, and maybe you can finish him off. But the thing about Keith Thurman is he's gonna make you work to get there. He's a guy
yeah,
that has good lateral movement. He knows how to box. He has good boxing IQ, and he's gonna make you work for it. And you're talking about him in the bigger picture. Um, he's gonna give some guys a tough run because
mhm.
he has that boxing IQ. He has a style that's different than other